wasn't yours. I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back, I'm going back to who I was before. I like me better, I like me better.
Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So if you saw a video I did like a week or two ago on what happened with Beauty Baker, I said in there, did you guys want a video talking about what happened to black owned makeup brands in general? Because the vibe nowadays is very different than it was 3 years ago in 2020. Even before 2020, I felt like, there was a moment where people were like, yeah, when brands started doing the, 60 shades, 50 shades, 40 shades, where black owned brands were starting to have their moment type thing. And I was just kind of like, where y'all at? So if you guys want to know more, let's go. So like I said, I posted that video and I mentioned some of the things that I thought, were going on, why we're not seeing some of these brands. But I definitely got feedback in the comments on what people think is the reason why we've seen kind of a decline on black owned makeup brands being pushed, being talked about, all that stuff. And when I say like there's a difference that you can tell, I mean there is a difference, okay? 2020, you guys know George Floyd protesting, well, what happened with George Floyd, and then after that, the protesting, all of that stuff. And then all of a sudden brands, not just in the beauty industry, but everywhere, were like, yeah, we have black employees and black unity and we're going to appreciate black people more. I mean, we mostly knew that it was cap at the moment. It was going to die off, as soon as the next thing to globally trend happens. But again, like I said, because there was talk before all of that happened, and because it did seem like, black owned brands were getting more recognition, maybe I didn't think it would die off that quickly. That here we are in 2023, and I want to say Danessa Myricks, Juvia's Place, kind of see LYS. Well, I see LYS on like Instagram, but especially right now, TikTok is the hot spot. TikTok is where brands are putting their money when it comes to advertising, when it comes to using influencers. That is where they're putting their money, because like TikTok is the second most searchable engine after Google. And not just in the beauty industry, but like brands in general are hopping on TikTok because the thing right now is short form content. So that is the go-to place to go for short form. So that is where brands are going. So over there on TikTok, baby, I'm not seeing it. Literally, I'm not. Like, at least, like I say, Instagram, I see Juvia's Place, I see Danessa Myricks, I see a little Pat McGrath, I see a little LYS, baby. It'd be crickets over there. For me, on TikTok, I just don't be seeing it. And I know the brands are on there. I also see Thread Beauty on Instagram. I know the brands are on there, but they are not the, most talked about. Not even most talked about. Black owned makeup brands are not heavily talked about on TikTok. I mean, even Fenty Beauty, which of course I've seen Fenty Beauty talked about on there for the lip gloss. The hot chocolate lip was going viral not too long ago, and now they've got the sticks. But you kind of expect Fenty Beauty to be, if there is going to be a brand that's talked about, you kind of expect Fenty Beauty to be there because hello, it's owned by Rihanna. But even Fenty Beauty, like the hype of it being talked down has definitely died. I definitely didn't see that many, videos testing out the sticks that just came out. And like usually, especially when it comes to foundation launches, those are pretty, popular things. Like even right now, I see all the people talking about the Rem Beauty foundation. Y'all just saw the video I uploaded trying that out. But like that's what's trending right now. I see the Mario concealer trending. Y'all saw my video, my thoughts on that. And it's like, you see how I can point out those things that I see the makeup community talking about, but like black owned makeup brands exist. Why y'all don't talk about them the same way? So of course, a lot of people in the comments in the other videos said because the trend has died. The trend has died. It does not help brands to be so, politically correct, as people call it, which inclusion of black people isn't politically correct. It's, black people wanting to be included and wanting to be treated equally is not being politically correct. Why does that need to be explained? Why does your political party determine if you should include black? I'm not gonna say it in this video, but people feel like it's not going to do anything for you. You're not going to get brownie points for saying, oh, we're going to collab with this black owned makeup brand, we're going to do this, we're going to put more black owned makeup brands in Sephora or Ulta, all that type of stuff. Like, it's just not the same energy that it was in 2020. And a lot of people in the comments of that Beauty Bakery video were saying that because they don't have to, they're not getting a reward for doing that anymore. So, you know, it just kind of feels like, what is the point of doing that, you know? And not just beauty suppliers like Ulta, Sephora, places that sell makeup products, but also for influencers as well, because even besides Black creators, non-Black creators were also on a, you know, I need to talk more about Black owned makeup brands, I need to do that. And the same thing, there's nothing in it for them anymore to do that. You know, at this point, they've got the platforms that they need, they got the this that they need. So it's like, do I really need to say that? And I'm not saying that everyone who said it was disingenuous in you know, saying it. I feel like 3 years later, if you look how people talk about Black owned makeup brands now, you'll see if it was genuine when they were doing it in 2020. So I don't have to say, I'm not saying everyone who talked about it was disingenuous. Were some people who were talking about it disingenuous? Yes, but we don't need to specify who. Now, there were also people saying that even Black creators don't talk about Black, listen, y'all know if I'm talking about the brand in this video, I mean the Black owned makeup brands, okay? It's just using my mind to say it over and over again in this video, saying that even Black creators don't talk about them. And to an extent, I get what you guys mean, but also to an extent, I feel like if it's not for a Black, see, that's why if it's not for a Black creator, I'm not hearing about the Black owned makeup brands that I am hearing about. Like Juvia's Place, LYS, Pat McGrath, Danessa, Beauty Bakery, Colored Rain, Thread Beauty. Anything that I've heard about them in like the last 3 years was because a Black, okay, now the sun wants to come out, was because a Black creator said it. So I guess what I'm saying, like when you say they don't talk about them, do you mean they don't talk about them enough to promote them, to push them, to help the Black owned brands? Do you mean they don't talk about them the same that they talk about, you know, non-Black owned makeup brands? Because I feel like there was that, especially back in the day, where people were like, oh, well, you know, Black creators won't talk about Black owned makeup brands because Black owned makeup brands can't give them the same incentives that non-Black brands can, like trips, sponsorships, stuff like that. And once again, I know like a lot of Black creators do stuff for free or do things for a cheaper price because the brand is Black owned. And I will also point out, there are Black owned makeup brands, actually just Black owned brands out there who expect Black creators to do things for free or for cheaper prices, even though they're asking for a lot of deliverables because the creator is Black and because the brand is Black. And you know, there are those times where I'm like, you know, you ain't gotta worry about it. We both Black, we both trying to make it, okay, cool. But at the same time, when people are telling Black creators that you should be doing this, that, and the third for Black owned makeup brands to try to help the Black owned makeup brands or Black brands get on, people need to realize that Black creators are also a brand. You're supposed to be helping each other, okay? So there is a point where some brands be taking advantage. But a Black creator is it's still their job. You know, they still have bills to pay as well. While you want them to help someone else pay their bills, they have bills that they need to pay as well. There are two sides to it. But yeah, I don't feel like their lack of growth in the last few years is because Black creators aren't talking about them. Like I said, the only time I see them talked about is by Black creators. Now, another thing that I do think is kind of hindering some Black owned makeup brands is that a lot of them, baby, they are not L'Oreal, okay? They're not L'Oreal, they're not Maybelline, they are not brands that have been around since, you know, your grandma learned, oh, I thought someone was calling me. Since your grandma learned how to put makeup on. They do not, one, have the funding, they don't have the resources, and they also don't have the, and it's again, not to belittle anyone, but they don't have the knowledge in some of the business practices that they do. And even when it comes to using influencers, I feel like a lot of brands hop on trying to use influencers because that's the thing to do, because influencer marketing is so, you know, productive. It's going to give you, you know, resources. But the thing is, like, they be doing it because they see everyone else doing it and not because it's the best practice for their brand in that moment. And I feel like that's where it goes wrong for a lot of just black owned brands in general. If you hear arguing, it's my neighbors. This is literally like a monthly thing. It woke me up at 2 a.m. It's now 2 in the afternoon. So if you hear that, that's what it is. You just go and try to talk over it. I don't even know what I was saying at this point. But yeah, you know, a lack of being able to just, you know, throw out $65,000 for advertising is also going to hinder them. They do not have the funding to, you know, just start and all of a sudden they're in Sephora. They don't even have sometimes the funding to start, and all of a sudden, if it's a American brand, you can get it in the UK, right? Like a lot of people will say, oh, well, there's this brand, and why doesn't this content creator talk about them? And it's like, that brand is only available, like you can't get it in Canada. You can't get it, like I think even in the Beauty Bakery video, people were saying in the comments, like they don't ship to Canada. They can't, you know, they're not as accessible as brands that have been around, like Maybelline, that like this, or brands that are just international brands. So if they can't afford that, if they can't have this type of accessibility, they're already at a disadvantage. You know, they have years that they're trying to catch up with other brands who have the time, who have the access, who have all of that. They are trying to catch up with those brands, which is why a lot of them end up not making it, or a lot of them will have to, you know, rebrand and regroup, and they're continuously trying to, you know, make a comeback. Even Fashion Fair made a comeback, I want to say 2 years ago. I just saw a new product of theirs on the Sephora website. It's a lip liner. I want to try it out. It's in my shopping cart. But like they'll have to like rebrand and do all of this and do all of that. So, you know, so yeah, them not being talked about as much with Black creators, with non-Black creators, with other, you know, suppliers, stuff like that, that does hinder them. It does. But also, if talk was all it took, baby, they would have had it, right? They had the talk, they had all of that with Fenty Beauty, but you know what Fenty Beauty also had? It had that Kendo money. Is it Kendo? Is it Kendo? Whoever owns LVMH, they had that LVMH money to launch, okay? And even then, I still think like Fenty Beauty didn't become available in, was it South Africa, until like last year or the year before. You know, they were still saying like, baby, I don't have a Fenty Beauty shade because it's not available where I am. Without that backing, without the funding, without accessibility, all of those options that a lot of other brands have, yeah, I feel like we've seen Black-owned makeup brands struggle, and I feel like we're going to continue to see them struggle as time goes on. I know I saw, I think it was Lip Bar, who had just got big, or maybe it was Mented, maybe it was both. It might have been both, who both just got like, you know, big funding. I know I did just see on Sephora, I got an ad for it. So if you do have a Black-owned makeup brand, Sephora is having something, and I believe Danessa Myricks is the CEO, where you apply for it, and if you get in, it's like a 6-week course or something like that, where they teach you, you know, different business practices and different things to do as a business owner to help your brand. And then you might also have the chance of getting your products into Sephora. Like, those are the opportunities that Black-owned makeup brands need. Okay, like I said, great. You can only talk about them so much. You can only say, you know, you like this Danessa Myricks powder so much, but they need the money. They need the money, they need the funding, they need the accessibility, they need to be able to, for you to be able to go into Ulta or Sephora to buy it. All right, a lot of them, you can only get it from their website. A lot of people don't like shopping like that. They like being able to shop on Ulta or Sephora because they can also purchase other things at the same time. So those are the things that they need. They need to be able to, you know, ship to Canada, ship to the UK, ship to Australia. They need those things as well. And a lot of them don't end up getting to that point of doing that. Now, again, because we fair over here, a lot of Black-owned makeup brands haven't helped themselves in the past. You know, I can only name a few who haven't had some type of scandal. And again, I think it's because there's that comfortableness where it's supposed to be like, well, you're supporting us because you're Black and we're Black. And it's not just Black-owned makeup brands, but like, especially with the restaurants and stuff like that. There's a loss, and the restaurants, the hairstylists, all of that, where there's not that customer service where you remember, baby, you still own a business. You are still running a business. This is not good PR for you. Okay, this is not good PR for you. Don't do that. Remember what I said in the Beauty Bakery video? Like, if you cannot afford to hire someone to run your social media, that does not mean you, the owner, should be running your accounts. Because as soon as you see a comment saying like, this lipstick was so dry, y'all can't just let that go, because as a customer, they might not like your lipstick, but they might like something else. Y'all be ready to, in the comments, well, that's why your weave is dry too. Okay, that's not, let's regroup. I just feel like, look at the ones that are still talked about that, you know, you do kind of still see more around. Mented, Thread Beauty is one I've been seeing a lot lately. They just got Santana as a spokesperson for them, Saucy Santana. Danessa, LYS, they're available at Ulta, they're available at Target, they're available at Sephora. They're more accessible, you know, they have more backing into them than the brands that are, you know, like either they have their own warehouse that they're running out of, or they're running out of their own house, like those type of things. You know, you see them more than you see a Range Beauty or I can't even think of I'm not even sure if Ace Beauty is still open, to be honest. Is Colored Rain at Ulta? I think Colored Rain might be at Ulta, but that's another one that you don't really hear about much anymore. And I just feel like you see a very big difference between ones that do have more access, more opportunities, all that stuff, than the ones who don't. And I just feel like that is what it's going to take for anything to move forward. It has to be a combined effort, you know, like we as creators, as consumers, we can talk about it more, we can, you know, purchase it more. As brands, they can have better customer service, they can put out better products. I did see people saying that like the products that some of the brands were offering, especially, well, in that case, Beauty Bakery, you know, it wasn't really aligning, but I mean, like, there are non-Black owned brands who, you could say the same thing, but like, they're not struggling as bad, or it's not as hard for them. So, you know, the brands could do better, and we as customers and consumers can do better. But without that middleman of the money, of the finances, of all of that, I just feel like it's not going to come together, because there's only so much that we can do, you know? And I feel like, to be honest, I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but I feel like it probably won't come together like that, because, you know, we are fighting for basic rights, right? Like, we are fighting for it not to be taught that slavery was a benefit. So if we can't even get past that in 2023, I don't know how much focus is going to be given on, you know, making sure that we have opportunities in makeup. You know, and it's not to diminish makeup or anything like that, but I'm just saying, like, they're not really comparable, and we struggling with the one that is, you could say, much more important to get people to care about, and they don't. And I feel like, you know, like we started this video, that interest that is not there because they don't care. All right, y'all, so that is it for this video. Those are my thoughts on what is happening to Black owned makeup brands, and what I think needs to be done so that, you know, we have less of these, like, what happened to that brand, where is it type thing. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of the current state of that community is. And yeah, make sure to thumbs up, comment, subscribe, notification bells down below. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.